Okay, the first thing we're gonna do today for history is go over our continents and our oceans. So eyes up here.
North America, Europe, Asia, Antarctica, Australia, Africa, South America.
Alright, now our oceans.
Southern Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Arctic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean.
Right below the Andes. Okay? Now we're gonna go over, yes?
I think you skipped Antarctica again.
No, I didn't.
That was
Make sure
ocean.
you're paying attention. Alright, now we're gonna go over the 5 regions of the United States.
Northeast, southeast,
Everybody, not just Jonathan. You guys with me?
Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, Southwest, West.
Alright, very good. And then gradually we will learn each section. We'll be starting with the northeast, if I remember correctly. Alright, now today we're gonna add something new. When God created the world, He gave it variety. It's not just flat, like you pick up a ball and the ball is completely flat all the way around. It has some land that is flat, some land that's just bumpy, some land with huge openings in the ground, and some land with huge raised parts, and you know what those would be, right?
mountain.
We're gonna learn the names of them. Alright, 2 different raised parts would be your hills, which are much smaller,
mountain.
and your mountains. Okay, those are the raised parts on the land, okay? Then we have, volcanoes, which is another type of mountain that lava can flow out of. The Earth's crust has opening there, and lava can escape from there sometimes, so that is your volcano. Alright, the other one we're gonna talk about today is the valley. That would be in between the mountains or in between the hills. You have a lower area, and that would be a valley. Now, this one happens to have a river running through it, but would all valleys have a river running through them? No, not necessarily. Okay, you can have a valley that does not have a river running through it. And then the other one we wanna mention is one you're very familiar with, and that would be the plain. A flat land with few trees. So this is a flat area of land, very flat where you can see on for miles.
3 trees.
Okay. Yes, Adam?
That's from our vocab word.
Yeah, that's why I said you should be very familiar with it, because it is our vocab word. All right, now we will begin reading, and we will continue learning more of these on another day. All right? Starting on page 21, partway through the page. That's where we need to be reading. All right, where it says, Jamestown is built. The colonists made many mistakes in their first several months. One mistake was choosing to build their fort and houses on marshlands, which are swamps. The marshlands were full of mosquitoes that would spread disease. There was also no fresh drinking water nearby. The fort was built in the shape of a triangle. It was made of pointed logs. Houses were quickly built inside the fort. The colonists named their new home Jamestown in honor of King James I. So remember, King James I is the one who sent these people across to make a colony, so they named it after him, calling this place Jamestown. That is a drawing of the fort. Notice the triangle shape of it. Okay, but notice how they did not pick good land. Who do you think would have known that that marshland was not a good place to build? Liam?
God.
Okay, that is true. God would have known that, but who that was with them? I mean, God was with them. We know God was with them, but who that was actually helping, or should have been helping, make decisions?
John Smith.
John Smith, as a soldier, would probably have known marshland was not a good place to build a fort. But remember, who else was in charge? All those gentlemen who were used to having all their work done for them. All right, top of the next page. Did you turn to page 22? Excuse me. Turn around, face your book. We are turning the page because we're reading more and you're not paying attention, so you don't even know this. Please pay attention. You'll be having a history quiz next week and you're not gonna be ready for that quiz if you don't listen and pay attention. Before long, Captain Newport saw that Captain Smith was one of the hardest workers he had. John Smith wanted the men to begin planting gardens. He knew the food on the boat would not last forever. What would they eat when winter came? This talk made some of the men angry. They had come to search for gold, not to plant gardens. So they sent John Smith away to explore the coast of the country, searching for a passage to the South Sea. All right, so what do you think of these gentlemen of Jamestown? Were they being very wise?
No,
No, not at all.
because they also lied just so they couldn't be in bars, so John Smith could
Yeah.
just be, so they didn't have to work.
I don't know. I'm sure there was an argument going on, but they all blamed it on him. I'm sure he was arguing with them, probably because of their unwillingness to work. That was probably what the argument was about. But they all ganged up on him and said it was all his fault and he started it.
John Smith didn't do anything.
Well, we don't know that for sure because we weren't there. I'm saying there probably really was an argument,
Yeah, that is true.
but it really wasn't totally his fault. He was probably just trying to get them to work and help out and not act like everybody needed to wait on them hand and foot like they've been used to. All right, what were the names of those 3 ships that sailed to the New World? Can you remember them? If you can't remember, then you need to look back. They were on page 18. Because you will need to know them when we get to the quizzes and tests. Abby, what was one of them? The Godspeed. What was another one, Liam?
Susan Constant.
Susan Constant. And one more, Ben?
The Discovery.
The Discovery. The Godspeed, the Susan Constant, and the Discovery. You need to get those memorized. Most of you already knew Columbus's ships because you'd learned them long ago. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Well, now you have 3 more ships. The Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery that you need to learn. All right. Why did the men known as gentlemen come to America? What were they wanting?
Gold.
Gold. In other words, we're going to say wealth. They came for great wealth. They were already wealthy, and they wanted more wealth. Okay, so that's what you need to know, guys, wealth. Everybody say that? Wealth. What did the colonists name their new colonies? Owen. No, we're not learning. Owen. No. Adam?
Jamestown.
Jamestown. No, his name is John Smith, but he didn't name it after him. They named it after King James the First. And it was Jamestown. Okay? John Smith is the soldier that we were talking about yesterday. He got put in chains and wasn't even allowed to help at first, even though the king had said he should be allowed to help. Okay? But the king's name was James, so therefore the colony was named Jamestown after him. And if you didn't know that, you really need to pay attention, because we just said that today. That wasn't even from yesterday's reading. I just read it today, okay? So please pay attention. Why did John Smith want the men to plant gardens? Olivia?
Because the food on the ship wouldn't last that
Yeah.
long.
He knew that what they brought with them on the ship, anything that was left, was going to be gone very soon. And they were going to need food in the wintertime. Can you grow a garden in the wintertime?
Nope.
No. So they needed to grow a garden that spring and summer. Remember, they landed in April. So they should have gone ahead and planted a garden soon after they got there. But those wealthy gentlemen who were just wanting more and more wealth, they would say, no, we need to find gold. Take us so we can find gold. And they wouldn't even let him plant a garden. All right, top of the next page, we have a little bit more we need to read. We're on 23 at the top. Sit up straight, stop laying down. This is not nap time. 23, Jamestown faces sickness and hunger. Summer came to Jamestown. Mosquitoes swarmed from the swamps. Their bites caused many men to get a sickness called malaria. Everybody say that word?
Malaria.
So malaria is a sickness caused by mosquitoes. Autumn brought cooler weather. The mosquitoes did not bother the men now, but when winter arrived, Jamestown had another problem. There was very little food left. The men did not know how to hunt or fish. If they found a deer, it was gone by the time they loaded their guns. They also did not have any hooks or nets to fish with. Because many had refused to work at planting gardens in the spring, they now faced starvation in the winter. John Smith did not give up. He set off in a boat to trade with the Indians. The Indians eagerly traded corn, venison, and fish for the beads and knives John Smith offered them. On one trip, John Smith found himself surrounded by angry Native Americans. He knew he must think quickly to save his life. John Smith pulled a compass from his pocket and began talking to a chief. See this magic needle? Whichever way you point it, the needle will always point in the same direction. With this needle, you can find your way through the forest, said John Smith. I want to stop there just a second. Do you think an Indian who lived already there needed a compass to find his way through the forest?
No.
No, I'm sure he did not. But it was a unique object, and he was amazed by it. The chief accepted the gift. Then the chief took his prisoner on a journey to show him off to the other tribes. Turn the page. John Smith meets Pocahontas. After a time, John Smith was taken to Powhatan. On the river, there were many tribes of Indians. Each tribe had its own chief, but Powhatan was the chief of many chiefs. So think of our president over everybody, right? This Powhatan was like their president. They called him the chief of chiefs. Powhatan made the important decisions. He could decide if John Smith lived or died. According to legend, Powhatan ordered his warriors to bring a big, heavy stone. At Powhatan's command, John Smith was to be killed. Just as the warrior was about to kill him, someone screamed and rushed forward. Turning his head, John Smith saw the 12-year-old daughter of Powhatan. He heard Pocahontas speak to her father. It is said that the women of Powhatan's tribe could ask to save a prisoner's life. Pocahontas must have been Powhatan's favorite daughter. He set John Smith free and allowed him to return to Jamestown. All right, so it said according to legend. What does that mean? Yes.
It might not be true.
Yes, it might not be true, but it's been handed down for so long saying that she did this that we think it might be true. But there's really no proof that it really happened. Okay? All right, a new rule for Jamestown. By 1608, the colonists realized that without Captain Smith, they would be dead. John Smith did two important things for the people of Jamestown. Number one, he traded with the Indians for food, and the second thing is, he kept peace with the Indians. John Smith became president of Jamestown. Some of the men, however, were lazy and were not willing to work. Top of the next page. Both Captain Smith and the other men who did work were tired of providing food for those who would not work. John Smith made a wise new rule. And actually this wise new rule that he made comes from the Bible. So it was already in the Bible before he used it. He said, "He who will not work shall not eat." He made sure the rule was not broken. Some of the men grumbled. They became hungry, but they got no food. Soon the gentlemen decided that they must work if they wanted to eat. From then on, things went much better for Jamestown, even though they did not have extra food. John Smith made other changes in the colony. He made the fort stronger and made the walls of Jamestown stronger. He encouraged the people to plant gardens and grow their own food to store for winter. Captain Smith also dug a well in the fort. Soon, 200 new English colonists, men, women, and children arrived in Jamestown to live. All right, now let's read the Bible verse that says the same thing that John Smith made as a rule. So everybody read the Bible says, "If any would not work, neither should he eat." 2 Thessalonians 3:10. All right, turn the page. We're not going to read this whole page. We're just going to read so stop and think. Today, we think of a gentleman as a man who is polite and thoughtful of others. A true gentleman is not ashamed to do his share of work that needs to be done. We can certainly see that the men of Jamestown who would not work were thinking only of themselves. When there is work to do at your house, do you expect others to do your part? Or do you pitch in and help too? All right, we're gonna go ahead and stop there. I think that's a good place to